Right. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome to another story time. My name is Miss Sasha. I'm the founder and executive director of ABC Read, a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to develop and nurture a culture of literacy in Black and underserved communities. I also started a brand called Reading is Freedom, as you see on the shirt, as well as the logo in the upper, I think, probably left hand corner for you all. And welcome. I've brought back the read alouds that I started back in 2017. I was reading consistently on Facebook. Actually, I wasn't doing Instagram yet. So I was on Facebook and I was doing that for about literally two years, probably 2.5 years. Then I scaled back. And then I just said recently, I think this is going on month 2, where I said I'm going to start back reading aloud so that you all can start seeing the benefits of how we need to bring that culture back into our homes. Even if you are getting it via a virtual setting, that's great. Of course, it's even better if you are able to cuddle up with your kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, make it a family affair, get a nice, comfortable, cozy area, the bed, the couch. You can create a space like I did. I created a little corner where I have my little rug. I'm sitting on a comfy pillow. And I said, I want to create this space so we all can start normalizing reading aloud. This is a part of our African tradition. The storytelling, the sitting in a gathering and enjoying stories, whether they're made up or whether you are reading from an actual book. These are things that we should be doing. So I'm going to get right on into it, you guys. Okay. All right. So here we go. Today's book, or it might be evening for you. It's evening for us here in Cleveland. Strange Fruit, and the Billie Holiday and the Power of a Protest Song. All right. And this was written by Gary Golio, illustrated by Charlotte Bailey Webb. Okay. All right. So for those of you out there who are jazz connoisseurs, you know about Billie Holiday, right? You know about Billie Holiday, and lots of folks know about Strange Fruit. All right. From my understanding, this was a very hard song for Billie Holiday. It always made her very sick, actually, after she would sing it. And we are going to find out the history behind this protest song, Strange Fruit. All right, so gather the kids around. This is an entry point, a gateway into learning about someone who is in our history, who was a very important figure, very talented, complicated woman. Had some very hard upbringings, a very hard foundation. And so let's dive in. October 1938, New York City. This time, Billie had enough. Sure, she was grateful. Grateful for her incredible singing voice. Grateful at 23 to have worked with some of the finest jazz musicians in the country. Grateful for a few hit records that made her more well known and able to get better jobs. And grateful to Artie Shaw for hiring her as one of the first Black singers to work in an all white band. But then everything changed. Billie was singing in New York City's famous Blue Room at the Hotel Lincoln. First, the staff told her not to talk with the customers. Then they said she couldn't walk around by herself because someone might think that Black people were staying at the hotel. She even had to use the service elevator so guests wouldn't see her and walk through the kitchen to get to the stage. Worst of all was being kept upstairs in a small room before showtime so she wouldn't cause any trouble. Why? Because Billie was furious and she blamed Artie for not taking her side. Enough had finally become too much. So she quit. Billie had already seen more than her share of hard times. As a baby, she'd been left with an older half sister by her mother who was gone for years. At 10, she ended up in a reform school for colored girls, all because of a terrible thing done to her. And when she finally moved to New York City to be with her mother, they were both arrested and Billie sent to jail. She was only 14. Those early years were rough, but what kept her going was music, and especially a love of jazz. All she wanted to do was sing. Billie wasn't going to scrub floors like her mother. She had a plan to be somebody. Jobs in small cafes led to work in nightclubs around New York City. In one place, the audience loved Billie's voice so much they threw money right onto the floor. It was a bright beginning. At just 15, Billie was hired at a popular Harlem music club. Moving from table to table, she began singing each song differently every time. Listening to the trumpet and saxophone, she started improvising, using her voice to play with the melody and lyrics. She was going beyond words. And like the other musicians, her singing had more to say than just notes on the page. This was the heart of jazz. Now, those who heard her said she sounded like nobody else. But being in the spotlight wasn't easy. Light skinned Billie once had to put on dark makeup because she looked too white for an all black band. Another time, white bandmates painted a red dot on her forehead to make her look like a woman from India, just so she could stay at the same hotel with them instead of sleeping on the tour bus. Laws separating whites and blacks made things tough for Billie wherever she went. In some places, she might have been killed for even standing next to a white person on stage or off. She dreamed of having a place to work where she could perform with anyone she wanted and everyone could listen to her sing. 2 months after leaving Artie's band, Billie got her wish. In December of 1938, an unusual new club was set to open in New York City. It was the creation of Barney Josephson, a one-time shoe salesman from New Jersey. Barney had visited Harlem's famous Cotton Club, where the greatest Black entertainers in the country performed. He loved the noise and excitement as much as the music. What he didn't love was that Black people weren't allowed to sit at the tables or to be customers at all. Here in the middle of a Black neighborhood was a club meant only for white people. This didn't seem right to Barney, and he decided to do something about it. So on the night before New Year's Eve, Barney opened his own club in Greenwich Village called Cafe Society. And not only was it open to Black customers, but it gave them the best seats in the house. Now Black people could see white and Black performers from the front of the club closest to the stage. There was nothing like it, not in New York City, and maybe not in the whole country. Early on, Barney had asked Billie to sing at Cafe Society and hired top-notch musicians to back her up. She and the club became an immediate success. Then Barney got a visit from Abel Maripol, a high school teacher and songwriter. The son of Jewish immigrants, Abel was outraged by the ongoing racism and violence against American Negroes. Haunted for days by a photo he'd seen, He took up his pen and wrote something called Strange Fruit. It was a song about lynching. When Billie first heard Abel sing Strange Fruit, for her, she was unimpressed. The song wasn't jazz and it wasn't really blues. And what did the word pastoral mean anyway? But Barney thought the song was important, and Billie believed in what Cafe Society stood for. She agreed to try out the song, if only as a favor to Barney. Studying the words, Billie thought about her father, a jazz musician who died after being turned away from the whites only hospital. But what would other people make of the song? At a party in Harlem, Billie sang Strange Fruit, her voice with Abel's words. Everyone in the apartment became quiet, and the smiles left their faces. Billie had her answer. At the club, Barney told Billie that Strange Fruit would be the last song in her set, with no encores to follow. When it was over, she'd quietly leave the stage. That night, waiters froze in place. People stopped talking, and the room was dimmed to near darkness. Some people in the audience looked uncomfortable or just confused. Why was there blood on the leaves of a tree? What exactly was this song about? A few people nearly got up from their seats and left. As Billie continued singing, her face became more expressive. At times, she looked tortured, angry, or sad. Her voice pierced the air. The last few words about a strange and bitter crop sounded more like a cry of pain. Then the spotlight went out and Billie was gone. For a few moments, there was nothing but silence. Finally, one person slowly began clapping, followed by another, until the entire room exploded in applause as the audience rose to its feet. Backstage, Billie took a long, deep breath. From that day on, Strange Fruit would scorch the minds and hearts of those who heard it. Billie would be cursed, threatened, and assaulted for singing that song in clubs and concert halls throughout the country. She'd tell her worried mother that performing Strange Fruit might make things better, even though she knew that Black people had been killed for less. But you'll be dead, her mother said, to which Billie replied, yeah, but I'll feel it. I'll know it in my grave. These are the words of Strange Fruit. Southern trees bear a strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth. Scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh, and the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, for a tree to drop. Here is a strange and bitter crop. The end. Strange fruit, Billie Holiday and the power of a protest song. So again, this book right here is an entry point, a gateway, a bridge for that conversation that should be had. This is something that has happened to our people, since, especially after slavery. That's when you saw the lynchings, the hanging of these Black bodies from trees, all due to hatred and envy and ignorance. And this is the history that our children should know about. This is a great way to talk about that subject, that ugly part that unfortunately the lynchings hasn't stopped, because we've seen things happen like this in this current day. And again, we can't be afraid to have these conversations, but a way to have these conversations that can actually be a way to not just be so blunt about it, but to talk about certain people in history like a Billie Holiday, and talking about her talents of being a jazz musician, and then talking about one of these iconic songs that millions of people across the globe are familiar with, and the message behind it. This is a great way to have these family conversations, reading books about this history. So, and this is what ABC Read does. This is what we're about. This is why we flood our homes in the city of Cleveland with these types of books, because we want our community to be very well read, to put books high on our value ladder, and to also love who we are as Black people, love our traditions, our experiences, and trust and believe. We do not have to start our history. And in fact, we should not start our history with the slave plantation. We should always start our history with empowerment, with talking about the African civilizations, like the Mali Empire, all right, talking about Askia Muhammad, Mansa Musa, talking about the different African civilizations where you had women and men who were leading and who cared about the people in their respective countries, and talk about the inventors, the doctors, the historians, the storytellers, the caregivers, all of these things as a part of our history. And this is where we should start. But of course, we have to talk about the interruption, the dismemberment, all right? Because in order for us to do that, then we understand what it is that we're dealing with now. And so now we can start to remember what was dismembered. And what better way to do that than through reading books? All right. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed that story. Make sure that you all like, subscribe, and share to my YouTube channel. Yes, I'm live on YouTube. And if you are, for those of you who are watching the replay, I thank you. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, share, hit the notification bell, make sure you leave comments. All of that is needed. Also, as you see the ticker below, it's asking to donate whatever you can, because this is how we're able to get these books into the hands of the community, all right? And we're able to have reading events. We're able to give away fresh fruits and vegetables and all of those different things that we know is healthy. And it's healthy not just for our bodies, but for our minds and for our spirits, all right? This is what ABC Read is all about. We've been doing this for 10 years, and we greatly appreciate your tax deductible donations. All right. So, again, I thank you all for listening. Please make sure you read for at least 30 minutes a day. My name is Miss Sasha, and remember, reading is freedom. All right, you all take care. Peace.